Friday, Floss Tube. It is Friday, November the 8th, and today is the day that I'm going to start my LindyStitches stitch along for the pattern that's coming with the 2019 Holiday Evertote collection. Shameless plug for my kits. I still have a few in the shop. I actually haven't made my own big bag yet because I wanted to make sure that I got other people's bags out first. So I'm not going to make my big bag until those are all done. But I did make myself one of the Notion pouches. So I think I'm all set up here. Let me show you the pattern. Lindy's adorable pattern. Rooftop Cocoa Shop. And I'm all set up. Lindy's done her pattern on a pale pink fabric, which I love, and it matches the kit perfectly. I didn't have any pale pink fabric in my stash, and I wanted to be able to stitch this from stash. I had most of the threads on hand, and I've made a few substitutions, so I'll talk about those in a minute. My first substitution, of course, like I just said, is my fabric. And this was a mystery. I don't know what it is. It was a remnant in my drawer of fabrics that I have cut off from something else that I stitched. It's a beautiful, it's some kind of lovely hand-dyed something. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I had a small piece and it was the perfect size. And I pulled all of the threads. Now let me show you this. Look, this is the thread keep that comes along with the kit. I know, sorry. Shameless. And I have organized all of my flosses for the design on the keep. There are 12 colors used, and so very conveniently 12 holes in the keep. So I've made a few substitutions with the threads as well, but as I was choosing them, I would put them on the fabric and make sure that I was happy with the substitutions as I was going. So Sarah's bedroom door just slammed open and Luna just started barking like crazy. So sorry, I had to pause there. So I'm going to try and pick up where I was. I think I was in the middle of a sentence. 12 colors. Let me tell you about my substitutions. I am using, I'll just go off the list. So what I've done here is I've folded over the bottom of the pattern where the threads are listed. And I've numbered to keep track. I've gone in clockwise motion. So so it's easy to remember, right? 1 to 12 going in a clockwise fashion. So starting with the B5200, which is the easiest one to remember because it's very obvious what it is. These four flosses, I know right away what they are. And so I just numbered them 1, 2, 3, 4, and I wrote it directly on the pattern what they were. So B5200 is going to be hole number 1. 3371 is number 2, right there. There's 321. The reindeer are stitched in pecan, Weeks Dye Works pecan. I had a skein of that, so I will be using that. Then we've got number 5. Where's number 5? There we go. Weeks Dye Work Blackboard. I didn't have that, but I did have 3799. So that's right there, 3799. Once DMC 169. And then 958. This yellow here, this is for the moon. And the moon is charted in, where did it go? 958? No, that one. Here it is, 744. The moon is charted in 744, which I didn't have. I had 745, close enough. And it's only the moon. So that's what I've got there, 745. Then we've got, so 3818 is what Stephanie has used for the garland and the cup and some of the ornaments. I didn't have that, but I did have a really pretty green skein of Gentle Arts. So this is Gentle Arts Blue Spruce. So I just took enough off the skein that I thought would be plenty for this pattern and just put it on the keep. The next one that I also didn't have was 3031 for the antlers, and so I'm substituting 838 for that. So it's just a lovely brown. Next up, instead of 840, I'm using 841. And then last but not least, instead of 738, which I didn't have, I have 422, which is, they're not overly similar, but I think where it works in the design, this will be just fine. So that's 422 right there. So again, I'm pretty close to what Stephanie has charted, but making use of thread that I already had in my stash so that I don't have to go out and buy more just for a couple of skeins. And it's such a cute pattern. It's such a cute pattern. So I'm going to start at the bottom. And what I've done is I've put some, I've counted. So I've marked my starting point and I've counted 40 and 40 because the pattern is 80 wide. So I'm gonna hopefully start with my bottom of the design, just work my way across, and I shouldn't have to count too hard. I should be able to just double check my counting at the very end. So, you know, I think I'm really gonna like using this because everything is here in one spot that I can see my colors right away. They look a little bit tangled, but then as you go to pull them out, I mean, they're all very easy to separate. So I'm quite pleased with that actually. And you can just pull out the strands that you need. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be stitching with one strand doubled in half. So what you can do is you can, pardon me, I just need to bring it close to my face to see. You can just separate out that one strand and just pull it out. And then everything else just stays because I have the ends all clipped. So you can just pull one out and the rest stays on the keep. Done. Some fuzz from I think my iPad cover, I think needs replacing. And oops, wibble wobble, wibble wobble. Now I think what I'm going to do here is I think I'm going to start with, an away knot. Just a little away knot, not too far. This fabric has a few fuzzies on it. Okay, so now I had put the tip of my needle in where I wanted the corner to be. So take that out. That's going to be the top of my X. So I'm going to come and bring my knot in over there. And then back up where I want to start. And the beauty with the away knot, I did a little tutorial video on this a while back, is that as you stitch, you're going to be stitching directly over that little bit of extra thread, securing it down. And I just like to check that I am actually securing it as I go. I think this is a 32 count fabric. It doesn't feel, it's definitely smaller than a 28. I should have measured it out before I started, but yeah, oh, I was too excited to start. You know, sometimes those extra things slow you down, don't they? 321 is such a bright Christmas red. It's really, really pretty. And then as you get closer, to your knot, I'm gonna get ready to clip it off. Maybe I'll just do one more stitch over top. And I'm happy with how that's secured now. And I'm gonna bring my floss up to the top, my needle I should say. Leave it there, flip it over. And now I'm gonna cut away carefully that extra right there. And that's done. That's that. There's the little knot, and the thread is secure. And we are good to go. We had a massive snow squall last night. We woke up, it started earlier in the evening last night, but we woke up to, I will have put some video at the beginning of this video so you can see, and it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. It started a little bit yesterday morning. When we woke up yesterday morning, we had, I'm going to say about 5 centimeters. It was pretty fluffy stuff. And then Environment Canada was warning of snow squalls for last night and overnight, and it sure enough came to pass, and woke up this morning with nice big amount of snow out in the yard, and it was so pretty, so pretty. A few people asked me, because I had posted on Instagram that it had snowed and that we were getting some more, and I was pretty excited. And a couple of people asked how Luna likes it. And I have to say, she's fairly ambivalent about it. She's happy to be outside, but she's much more interested in the squirrels. So I don't know, she doesn't seem overly snow enthusiastic. But I will say this, walking her this winter is going to be very interesting. I need to invest in some, and I've been talking about getting these for a while, but now I can't put it off any longer. Those, what are they called? Yak tracks, the things that you put on your boots for extra traction. You know, they have little spikes. They're almost like putting chains on your tires for your car, or putting on snow tires. I need to get some of those for my boots, because she is a powerhouse. She's a very, very, very strong dog, and she's pretty darn good. You know, her leash walking is pretty good, but you know, she does pull a little bit when she's overly excited, if she sees a squirrel or another dog, or you know, she's a dog. These are pretty natural things, but she does pull a little bit, which when the ground is free and clear is totally fine, because I'm able to control her. But we don't live in a flat neighborhood. It's not overly hilly, but it's got enough contours to the sidewalks that this morning's walk was a little interesting. So I'm gonna have to be really careful, because if she has the capability to take me down if she, you know, decides to lunge after something and I'm in the wrong spot with not very good footing. So I'm gonna have to be really careful, especially this at the beginning. Nothing's been sanded. there's no salt or sand out on the sidewalks or on the roads or anything yet. Everything is quite slick. So anyway, just something to be careful of. Isn't that red pretty? I'm so excited about this pattern. It's so pretty. All right, one more. Not sure if you can hear her. She's back in her bed that's close to me here, and she's snoozing away. So yeah, it was a pretty sweet thing to wake up to this morning, how much snow we had out there. And my love of snow is well known, and I'm sure of it. That's my iPad case. Little flecks of my iPad case are starting to come off, and I need a new one. That's terrible. My love of snow. Oh my goodness, I love snow. I do realize, however, that I am fortunate enough that I don't have a job that requires me to commute in it, or I'm still fairly active and capable of walking outside in the snow, other than dragging along my 75-pound strong dog. But other than that, I don't have many complaints when it comes to snow. And I know that there are many people out there who, what did I do with my thread? Oh, it's on my shirt. There it is. I'm fortunate that liking snow is a luxury that I'm able to partake in, because I do love it. I do. That, especially when it first starts to fall and everything just kind of gets covered up and fresh and clean and pretty, and just makes me really happy. Just love it. Okay. Now, other thing I wanted to share with you today. I was watching Daleen, So Grateful, yesterday. That's the name of her YouTube channel. And as always, I love visiting with Daleen. She's just a breath of fresh, sunshiny air. And she was talking about her bird books. How, this time of year, they like to keep their bird books out and, check off the birds that they've seen. And I thought, oh, I do that too. But mine is more of I don't actually take records of what I see. And I really should start. But she showed her bird book, and I thought, I have a bird book too. So I thought maybe you might like to see mine. I think hers is called a Stokes. Is it a Stokes bird book? I'm going to have to go back and watch that part again and see. But I'll show you mine. And mine was a gift from my mother-in-law a few Christmases, well, many Christmases back now. And mine's the Peterson Field Guide to Birds. So this is the one I keep on my kitchen counter. And just this morning, so I marked the page because just this morning I had 3 Juncos on my, I'll tell you about this in a minute. I meant to tell you about that. I'll tell you about that in a minute. I had 3 Juncos on my front porch. And so, I like to look up the different kinds of the birds that, in the different ways that they look, not necessarily the ones that I see. So this is the Junco that we get, the slate colored dark-eyed Junco. And there were 3. They were definitely the darker black. So I'm assuming that they were all male, the 3 that I saw. I don't know that I've ever seen a lighter colored one. So I'm wondering if the coloration is so subtle, more apparent in the book here, and in real life maybe it's a little more subtle, and I just haven't looked carefully enough. So I'll have to check that out. But they're such pretty birds. They're teeny tiny and just, they kind of hop along the ground and they're just beautiful. Love them. So I've only just refilled my bird feeders yesterday. Normally October 1st is when I put my food out for the birds, and then, I go until the spring. But there was a lot going on in October for us as a family, and when I start filling the bird feeder, I like for it to be consistent because, the birds come to rely on that feeder being full. And so I waited until I knew that I was going to be able to consistently fill the feeder every day. And so it's now full and my sparrows are back. I've added in some extra sunflower seeds into my mix so that my cardinals will come back. Well, the cardinals, I always have cardinals, but they love sunflower seeds. And so I always buy a mix that has sunflower seeds in it, but then I buy extra sunflower seeds and top up I mix in extra sunflower seeds so that all winter long I have that beautiful flash of red in my front yard. And there's all kinds of them. There's at least 4 or 5 that I've seen so far. So hopefully those numbers will continue. They're just beautiful birds. So yeah, my little Juncos, had them this morning. So that leads me to this police ride along. I bid on and won a police ride along with my local police force a few weeks back at an event that I went to with my daughter, who she had to give a speech at this event, and there was a silent auction that was benefiting the organization that she was giving a speech about and for. And I thought that police ride along looked like the most interesting thing that was on those auction tables. And so I bid on it. And I won. So I have to tell you, I am so excited about going on so what it is, it's a 4-hour, you basically go on a 4-hour shift with a police supervisor in their cruiser on a shift around the city. And I cannot wait. I know. I'm so excited. Oop, lost my notions pouch there. Hang on a second. There we go. Okay. And so I still have yet to call, and they do a background check on you, and you set up the date and time. I haven't done that yet, but I'm kind of super excited about it. So I'll tell you all about it once it's happened. I think it's going to be super fun. Well, you know what I mean, right? Like, not like a lark, as it were, but I think it's an important thing to know. But not an important thing to know. I know that they do a good job. I just, I think it's important sometimes to see these kinds of things and, be part of something really. I just find it incredibly interesting. I'd like to know what a typical 4 hours is like. Is that weird? Anyways, I just admire our local police force, and so I thought it was a cool way to get a closer look. I don't think they're going to let me bring my stitching in the car. Just saying. So it's 4 hours of no stitching time. So all right. There we go. Well, I think I'm going to get to the 40, and then I think I'll stop there because I'm going to double check my counting before I remove the counting pin And you certainly don't need me in your ear counting to 40 because you're probably doing some counting of your own. I have some bags to sew this afternoon while I get this video edited and up. And then my plan is to stop at 5:30 and have some dinner with the family. And then I'm really hoping that we are going to put on some movies tonight. The very first holiday movie that we usually watch every year is Meet Me in St. Louis. And so I think that that is going to be first up tonight. So I'm really looking forward to that because that always sort of signals it's the start of the season is when we watch Meet Me in St. Louis, and we all sing along to the songs, and it's fun. So we'll turn the fire on and I will be having my 6 hours of stitching along with the Friday Off the Grid group. I hope that you'll join us over on Facebook. Post what you're stitching and share over there. Speaking of sharing the joy of needlework, have you seen the Country Stitchers pattern that they did with Beth Twist? How she did that saying for them, share the joy of needlework? I entered in their little giveaway. I hope I win it, because if I don't win it, I'm going to purchase the pattern, because I think that that's just the perfect expression Country Stitchers use. Share the joy of needlework, because that's what we do, right? Whether you're a maker of floss tube videos or you're a watcher of floss tube videos, we're sharing the joy of needlework. I love it. Okay, so that should be, if my counting before was correct, that should be 40 stitches. And I will leave that. Did you see my cute little needle minder? There. Okay. That should be 40 X's that I've gotten there, and I'm going to double count those, triple count those before moving on. So there's the start of my pattern. And I will leave you there. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I hope you get some stitching time in, or general crafting, knitting, sewing, maybe some pre-holiday baking. You have to remember that I'm Canadian, so we have already celebrated Thanksgiving. For me, from here on in, it is Christmas, holiday. I know that many of you who visit with me are American, and you celebrate your Thanksgiving. Yours is still to come. So many of you are, hesitant to start celebrating Christmas because you'd like to celebrate and enjoy Thanksgiving first. So I am aware of that, but it's hard for me to tamper down my enthusiasm because we've already had Thanksgiving. So I will do my best. I should probably, maybe what I'll do is stitch a little bit on LindyStitches, Mr. and Mrs. Delicious, on your Thanksgiving as my way of celebrating with you. But that's still a ways away, a few weeks at least. However, I am full on ready for the holidays. So I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you come back and see me on Monday for a regular Floss Tube Monday. And happy stitching. Take care. You've probably all been wondering about, I realized I meant to tell you about this and then I didn't. So you're all probably wondering what the heck I have on my lap this whole time and why I have this weird thing on my lap. What this is when I get super busy, I have a tendency to sometimes forget important things, life things. So this is the cover to my magnifier that I use when I stitch. And a couple of times I have forgotten to put it back on. And, as the seasons change and the light shifts, and it really doesn't matter. The magnifier should be covered up 100% of the time when it's not in use because it's a fire hazard. And so I put this on my lap so that I remember the last thing that I do before I can leave my stitching chair is cover my magnifier back up. So, and this was a reminder last year by Abby Bella Stitch, and she reminded us of the importance of doing it, and I absolutely agree. And ever since her kind of secondary reminder, I've been vigilant about always remembering to cover up my magnifier, because I did actually almost have a fire. I had my magnifier over some wool, and that wool started to smolder. Unfortunately, I came in the room and smelt something, and I hunted it down until I found it. And so I have always been careful, but now I am super, super duper careful. And when I get busy, I get forgetful. So that's why this goes on my lap and goes back on my magnifier before I do anything else. So I hope maybe that was helpful. Maybe reminded a few of you to cover up your magnifiers as well. So now I really am done, and I'll see you on Monday. Take care.